Souls Harbor Church, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. I had breast cancer in 2019. My mother had 3 sisters that had breast cancer, so my doctor had wanted me to do genetic testing. So when I decided to do that, they found out that I was positive, and that meant that I had a 78% chance of having breast cancer before the age of 70. So I had to make a decision on what I needed to do. And I also had a 40% chance of having ovarian cancer in my lifetime. So the first step after I talked to the genetic counselor was to have a hysterectomy. So in January of 19, I had a hysterectomy, and there was complications with that, and 2 weeks later I had another surgery after that. And during my hysterectomy time, I was deciding on what type of breast surgery I was going to have. I knew I needed to have a bilateral mastectomy, so I chose to go to Roanoke, where they offered some different forms of treatment. And in March, the doctor recommended that I get a breast MRI. Well, during the breast MRI, they had showed, with all my mammograms, it had always showed that I had cysts and I was at risk. And then they would send me to other places, and then they would do more tests, and they always just come to the conclusion that they was cyst. Well, the breast MRI showed one little place where they thought was just another cyst, so I thought nothing of it. So of May of 2019, I went in to have my bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction, and which was a big process because I had to have a breast surgeon, plus I had to have a plastic surgeon there to help with that work immediately. So after that surgery, I was preparing to go back to work, and whenever I went back for my post-op appointment, after my post-op appointment, they told me that they had found a cancer mass in the breast tissue that they had removed during my mastectomy. I was in complete shock because I was doing it prophylactically, and I just thought that I was ahead of the game, which I was not. My breast surgeon told me that if I had not had it removed when I did, I would probably not be here in 2 years, because it was a very aggressive, it was triple negative cancer, and her treatment was to have 4 rounds of chemo. Well, I had already started the reconstruction process, so that all got put on hold after my cancer diagnosis, and then I started having the chemo in July. I had to have another surgery for a central line placement, so they wouldn't be sticking me each time that I went to have my chemo. So when I went to, they pretty much told me exactly after your first treatment, when my hair was going to fall out. And I made it to that day, and I can remember that morning, and I thought, well, it looks pretty rough, but at least it's still here. And I had went through the whole steps of going to having a wig made, having it made the color of my hair and everything. But then I realized, you made this wig, so it's a long-haired wig, and you're going to want rid of this wig as soon, so you need a short-haired wig. So of course I changed that whole process and went to a short-haired wig, and I can remember that day that I had my hair that morning, and by that night I just went to brush it out or something, and it was all gone. I mean, like I was just pulling out big handfuls. And my husband was outside mowing the yard, and I can remember he come in and he said, and I told him, I said, you're going to have to shave the rest of it. Because the next day, I was still working in this whole process. I chose not to stay home, not to stress over it, to continue to work, to keep my mind off of it. So I said, I gotta go to work tomorrow, and I have to wear a wig. So he shaved my head, and then he shaved his. And through this whole process, I mean, Jesus was with me every step of the way, and I'm only here by His love and His mercy. And He gives you strength, and He's there. I can remember during the treatments, like me feeling like I could not go on. But I would just pray, and I prayed all the way to work, and there was days that I could make it all day, and then there was days that I was just too sick and I'd have to leave by 9 or 10 o'clock and just come home. But Jesus was with me every step of the way, and He helped me through the whole process and blessed me with being able, because at the end of the year I had my first grandson. So the whole year was a process, and after my last chemo treatment was October 13th, and in November I had the breast reconstruction done, and by the end of December I had a new grandbaby, and it just seemed like it made everything. All the pain and suffering I had went through, there I had this little baby that I was able to bless to be a part of his life. And I just want anybody that's going through it right now, just hold on to Jesus and get saturated in His Word, and you will make it through with the grace of God. Every day I would listen to songs, and I would listen to that song, You Say, and I would listen to that song, Overcomer, because I wanted to be an overcomer. I did not want to I wanted to be here for my kids, to be able to see them get married, and to see my grandbabies. And that's what I listen to. I just listen to songs about being an overcomer, and that song You Say. You have all kinds of people say things like when you're going through stuff, and some of it is from friends, and they think they're helping you, but actually it hurts you. And so it's just, you had to dig deep to get to somewhere where it just, you knew you could do it. And when I would read the Word and be saturated in the Word, and hear the songs and listen to the songs, I knew that I could overcome it. It's just that, there was days that was extremely rough and dark, and, I just didn't want to get out of bed. But I knew that, that's not what I needed to do.